In just a second, it's going to tell me we're live. And now we're live on Facebook. Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tech Talks. I'm Kelsey Ruff-Smith, as you are all aware, Director of Programs here at the Community Foundation for Ocala, Marion County. And joining us today is Pat with BoardSpace. Hi, Pat.
Hi. Good to see you.
Nice to have you here. Yes, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you tell us all about BoardSpace. I think this is going to be a really great presentation. Before we get started, everyone, if you have any questions at any point in time during this presentation, please go ahead and put those in the comment box on Facebook. I will moderate those back here to Pat so that she can answer those in real time while you're here if you've got them. But other than that, I think that's all I have to share. So Pat, take it away.
So thanks, Kelsey. So I have a question for you, Kelsey, is your background. So is that really looking out your window or is it like a green screen?
You got me. This is a Zoom background, and I have several that I have played with throughout COVID, but this is the front of our building here at the Community Foundation. So that's what you're seeing.
Cool. It looks very nice. My background's a little bit duller anyway. Oh, there's another one. Awesome.
Yeah. You got all sorts of ones you can choose from, but I liked, the foundation outside.
Yes. So thank you so much. I am very excited to be coming to you from Ottawa, Canada, all the way to Florida. It is very, very exciting to have a chance to talk to you. So I also want to acknowledge the environment that we're living in today. It is certainly a new world, and I don't think we're ever going to go back to the way we used to. So I truly hope that all of you are keeping safe and are keeping well. And I hope nobody laughs at me because of my COVID hairdo. I have not been to a hairdresser in many, many months. My hair is far too long and it's starting to drive me crazy. So I've actually gone to, doing this to try and get it out of my face. So nobody laugh. Nobody laugh at my hairdo. So let's get going. So today, I gave a little intro. I want to show you a video to lighten things up a little bit. Then we will jump into the demonstration. And as Kelsey mentioned, she's going to be monitoring questions. So feel free to ask away before, during, or anytime at the end. So let's go and take a look at this little video. So that was a video that I made with the local college here in Ottawa, Algonquin College. It was a group of students. It's actually a couple of summers old. Of course, this summer we're not going to be able to do that kind of video production, but it was great fun. And I got to act in it as well. I hope you could see me there. It was great fun. And it was shot using a drone. So who am I? As introduced, I'm Pat Crosscombe. BoardSpace is my company that I founded. And I got into all of this as a result of buying my first home. I bought a condo. I moved in. I was so excited. And then I heard rumblings from some of the other owners that there were some issues. So I hopped on the board because I wanted to help and spent a very, very busy 5 years learning a lot about how boards work, how condos work as well, and the frustrations that come with being on a board. After my term ended, I decided not to run again because I had an idea that had been forming in my mind and I wanted to have the time to start building it. So that was BoardSpace. And now, 6 years later, I have what I'm going to show you. So I'm really excited to show you what we have created. I'm also a meeting geek, truly. Bit of a techno geek as well, but a meeting geek. I pretty much think 24/7 about boards and meetings and how to make them better. So I am on a mission to change the world one board at a time. Boards do incredibly valuable work. The work that you do on your board, I am positive is helping your community at the ground level or perhaps even broader on the county level or beyond. So why would you want to take time and waste time doing busy work that software can do, like BoardSpace? You have way more important work to do, and no one has enough time in the day to get everything that they need to do done. We're all volunteers on our boards, so we already have some other kind of activity to keep ourselves occupied. So my own personal mantra is that we simply cannot continue to solve problems with the same kind of thinking we used when they were created. So hence a software solution like BoardSpace. I'm going to start with a scenario. And this is a few weeks in the life of Yasmin, who was a director on the board of the Glendale Foundation. She's also on the HR committee. So before the next meeting takes place, she gets an email telling her that essentially the board package is all ready. And like every good director, she immediately logs on to get prepared for her meeting. So she logs into her BoardSpace. You can see the two entities that she is a part of. And then she comes to her main meeting page. So a couple of the things that she is going to do is review the agenda, the documents, respond to a poll, and review some other actions. So just give me 1 sec, and I am going to go to the live application. So she notices down here that there's a little pink mark, which indicates that she has something to do. So this is our beta polls feature, which we launched just a few weeks ago. So she notices that it's new. There's a pink mark there. She hasn't seen it yet. So she is going to go ahead and vote. So the vote is she willing to pay for building internet? So she quickly makes a decision and submits the answer. So far, there's been 2 yeses and 1 no. And from the dashboard view, she can see the analytics on each of the polls that have already been held. So a very useful application for board meetings is to decide upon a next meeting date. Rather than take that time during your meeting, why not get directors and staff to provide those answers ahead of time? So this is one application. We launched as beta, which means that it's not quite finished, and we deliberately did this because we wanted to get feedback from our current users. Once we've got that feedback, we will implement the feedback and the changes, and it'll be relaunched in September when we're actually having our 3.0 launch with some new design, new software, and new features for about the 3rd week in September. So Yasmin is going to go back to her board and think about what else she has to do. So she heads into her SmartMinutes. And now she can see the agenda here on the left-hand side. And she can also see some other details in this meeting. So the first thing that she always goes to take a look at is this action review module. And she can see here that there are a couple of outstanding tasks specifically assigned to her. So she's going to go click on this one. Here's some details. She can see that there's a comment been made and she can respond to this comment. So in this comment section, you always can see who made the comment and the date that the comment was made. She also has another action. She's also going to quickly follow up on it before the meeting takes place. And in fact, she doesn't need to add any additional details here. So she's just going to go back to that meeting list. She also wants to zoom in on the documents that she needs to prepare in advance of that meeting. And so here she can see quickly that there are 4 documents been added. And she can know immediately at what point throughout the meeting the documents are going to be discussed. So under reports here for the president, she can see that and be well prepared. Also of note, you can see that each agenda item has been given a time allotment and has been assigned to an individual. So there's another little pink mark sticking out that she notices. So here is a section where directors and staff can make comments on any particular aspect. So you can see here was a question. It was, could you let me know if you have any other comments before the meeting? And Yasmin can respond. She made a response with, I have no comments. Likewise here under my notes, these are private. I'm the only one, or Yasmin is the only one who will see Yasmin's comments. This could be something that she wanted to remember during that particular discussion point. So again, comments can be used in a number of different ways. The secretary could ask if anyone had any additional agenda items to propose before the meeting, and this is the perfect time for directors to provide those. You could also do a straw vote on whether directors were in favor of something, so they can be used in a number of different ways. So Yasmin had a look at that. There's no other marks here. So with a bit of time invested to review the documents, Yasmin is going to be ready to go when it comes time for the meeting. So let's jump forward a few more days. It's June the 25th. The meeting is ready to be held. So again, Yasmin logs in and she can go to her SmartMinutes. So I'm just going to, I have to just move this out of the way 1 second. There's always so many things going on at the same time. So you'll notice that when Yasmin is logged in, she can see that directors have been indicated as present. The meeting's been called to order. So you'll notice here that the secretary has presented let's just go down a little bit. This is item 4 under reports. The president is leading this discussion. A motion is presented and discussed during that meeting. And Yasmin actually moves that this item be approved, and a second person seconds that motion. And you'll notice that the information was updated here while she's logged in looking at it. So essentially what is happening is this is a dynamic system that the directors and staff are logged into during a meeting, which of course is usually online now. And we will probably be online for at least several more months, who knows? But it's equally applicable in a face-to-face meeting where directors can bring a laptop or even a smartphone. So the meeting progresses, motions are added. So say under new business, a motion can be added. And so in the middle of this discussion on new business, whatever it was, there was a discussion about, oh, we need to get something done, so we gotta assign it. So the secretary quickly notes on the fly, and assigns it. In this case, we're going to give Yasmin the job again, and we have a due date. It's not due until the end of July. So this is immediately assigned, and you see this popped up. I hope you didn't blink because this immediately was assigned. Now that it has been assigned, no one has to keep track of it. It is in the system, and the system will send a weekly reminder informing each board member of their outstanding actions, what they have got to do. So nobody is going to forget who was assigned who. If you go over to the main action list, you can see that here's a list of everyone's actions. The little gray marks, the little gray bubbles here are when someone makes a comment on them. And again, as I showed you before, you can see the details and see the comments. The completed actions are also here for reference. The little red marks indicate that these were comments that were added that Yasmin has not seen yet. So the meeting continues. Let's go back to the meeting. And the secretary asks for a motion to adjourn it. And the meeting is adjourned. I actually forgot to finish this motion up, so that's why it wouldn't let me adjourn. So let's adjourn it now. And you can see that there's a notation. The meeting was adjourned. So the system is pulling the date and timestamp from the computer. It can also be added manually if you're taking the minutes after the meeting has been held. So that is the view and the interaction that a director would have with their board space. There's another section that directors might want to look at, probably not during a meeting, but it could be, but outside of a meeting, is events. So the annual planner is a section where all the events over the life of that board take place. They can take place in this year or in 2 or 3 years from now. But the point of this section is that anything that the board does can be added here. So that when it comes time for the, say, this one that I've highlighted, recruit new directors, no one forgets to get started. So when I go in to look at it, there's some additional details. And you'll notice that there's a reminder date. So when the reminder is sent, it informs the board that something is happening and they need to do something. For some items, you might need to get started, a couple of months in advance. For others, it's a couple of weeks. And once the event happens in October of this year, it will automatically roll over to the next year so that no one has to enter it again. And this will take place every year because this is recurring on a yearly basis. This can also be a recurrence on a monthly or 2-month basis or on a 2 or 3 year basis. And when it comes time for Yasmin to find something. So she's curious about when, say, bylaws were updated. She is able to go through every piece of information that is stored in her BoardSpace. So you can see something like an action that's been assigned to someone, any document, even motions in minutes, and so on and so forth. I'm going to select all of these. A date range function is also possible. So click on search. And very quickly, the system looks through everything and finds what fits that keyword search. So under communications, I already showed you the beta polls, but this is where you can see the emails that have been sent. And it's also possible to send emails as well. So that is the kind of interaction that a director would have with the system. Obviously, there's other things taking place that are set up by, say, administrators. So I'm going to go away from the director position, and I'm going to come to an administrative position. So obviously all of this stuff has to be set up, and this means that there's a board administrator assigned by the foundation to work with this board. So let's go and look at an agenda. So the agenda system is very easy to use. It's a drag and drop system. You can move things up and down. Agenda items renumber themselves automatically when you drag an item up or down. So you may have noticed that on the SmartMinutes button, I call them SmartMinutes. Well, it's not simply because they were created by smart people. I'm getting away from myself a little bit, but because by smart, I mean that they are dynamic and they're pulling data from other places. So for example, the call to order button used in the minutes is pulling time and date stamp from the computer system. The past minutes module looks through the system to see what minutes have not yet been approved. And when used and moved in the meeting, then those minutes are converted to a PDF and they can't be edited anymore. My favorite one I showed you was the action review module. So this one is pulling the actions, the outstanding actions only, from the main action list. Again, all of these modules are optional. They can be used if you choose and not used if you don't want to use a particular module. All of these titles can be, of course, edited. You can take away the time if you like. You can change the name of it. You can add sub-items as well as sub-items. So we can go down to a level of a 6.1.1, for example. So once you save them, then you can view your agenda. The agenda can also be printed off on paper or saved as a PDF if you want to be able to distribute that agenda. So the view of the minutes is quite a bit different than what the director saw. And it looks like this. So obviously only one person is taking and editing those minutes at one time. But again, you can see some of the smart features that I'm talking about. So when it comes time to take attendance, I simply have to check off the check boxes. I move between the sections in the minutes with the jump links on the left-hand side. And so for example, on an item like a report, I can change the title on the fly. I add notes as appropriate. The motion can be edited. As I mentioned, as a draft motion, it's always a good idea that the draft motions be added ahead of time, but it can always be edited on the fly. Each of the motion sections has a a drop link, a Dropbox, and you can choose from the list of directors attending the meeting. So you can quickly approve or not that particular motion. So you'll notice here, there's that chat bubble. I'm seeing that red mark. So I can go in and see the comment that Yasmin made. Once I've seen it, you saw it move to the smaller pink circle. So in terms of the action, again, somebody comes up with something they want done, get it into the action so that no one will forget about it. I simply have to add the information. The key part is getting it assigned to somebody and putting a due date, and then those actions are going to show up in the main action list and they will not be forgotten. You can always add additional details about that specific action at any time after you've made it. You can also reassign it to another individual, and you can also postpone or delay the due date. So again, the action review module with the live links to the specific actions. Again, so I am the recording secretary for this foundation, and I was the one who organized the documents. So if I decide that I want to remove this document from the particular agenda, it shifts over to the side, and then I simply drag it to where it will be discussed. The documents are also stored and organized in the main document repository section. So there's a gray button here called the agenda templates. So you don't actually have to create an agenda from scratch for every meeting. You create a template once and then you reuse it for every agenda. You can have up to 4 different templates because for your annual meetings, you will obviously have very different templates for very different agendas for those. In the board information section, I can quickly get contact information for all of the directors and staff. So let's go and take a deeper dive into how the documents are organized. So we are using a tagging system to organize the documents. If you come down here, click on one of the tags, a short list of documents shows up that have that tag. If I don't find what I'm looking for, I can click on a second tag, and then I can, well, there are no documents with those 2 tags, but then I can quickly look again for another one. So the tagging system is set up by the board administrators. There is a basic library that comes with the system, but then all of these tags can be customized. You can have as many as you want. You can create new tags here. And you can change the names on all of these tags. So there's another section here which is pretty cool called pinned. So what this is it lets each user select a number of tags. This I call the frequently accessed documents. So I will set up the tags that take me to the documents that I most frequently access. For example, the finance person might be mostly interested in the finance reports, and that's where they go on a regular basis. So it's very easy to untag something. You decide you want a different one, and when you add one, you simply drag it into that section. So you can also find documents by meeting date. I showed you the documents that are attached to a particular meeting. Likewise, this one, just need to reset here first. Likewise, these are the 4 documents that you saw for that agenda. Of course, in the short term, the document tags are very useful, or sorry, the meeting date tags are very useful, because if a director wants to see what's been added for a meeting just a couple of months ago or a month ago, they can quickly click on those buttons and check on these documents. In the longer term, you would want to use the tags, as well as there's some advanced search capabilities as well. Also an admin role is the ability to manage the tagging system. We don't expect the directors to do things like this, but we definitely need a board admin who will look after the structure. Like everything, it needs a little bit of management, and there needs to be a lead on who does this. So what happens on a regular basis is that a bunch of tags get created, and perhaps I didn't notice that I already had a tag that was similar to this one. So I can go through my entire list of tags, find the ones that are similar. These aren't actually, but I can go through and find those, and then I can merge them, give them a new name, merge them, and magically, not really magically, but all the documents that are in both of those tags are now in one again. So very, very easily I can put them together. As far as editing, I can go back in and edit the spelling or the name of every tag. I can fix any typos if I happen to see any. And likewise, I can review my system and see where I'm using tags and where I might not be using a particular tag. So new tag, obviously not a very good tag name. I'm going to delete it right now, get rid of it, don't need that one, I can remove it. On a document, on a tag that is used on a document, I cannot delete that tag until I take all the tags off of that document. So that's just to make sure that you don't end up leaving documents abandoned with no tag. Every document has to have at least one tag. So when documents are deleted, they don't actually get deleted right away as a safeguard. They get moved to trash. They can be restored if they have been deleted in error. But after 6 months, the documents that sit in the trash will be permanently removed. If I upload a document by mistake, I realize I've added a picture of my fish, and I don't think that should really be part of the board record, then I can go back and delete that document as long as I do it within 7 days of adding it. So the little boo-boos can be fixed pretty quickly. After the week, then the board admin would be required to remove that document, but it could certainly be removed. So I showed you how documents are found using the keyword search, but there's also another aspect, is the activity log. So basically this is an audit of what's going on in your board. So you'll see notes like a poll was added or removed, a document was removed. We go down minutes, so the minutes were approved. It basically gives you that very broad overview of what is happening in and across your board. So email notifications can be sent. You can identify the specific user groups that you want to send them to. And there's a quick kind of pre-written message that can be sent regarding a particular meeting, i.e. the agenda's ready or the minutes are ready, so you can quickly send reminders, as well as you can send a completely customized message and say anything you like, and it gets sent to the groups that you've identified. You can also always see what's been sent by looking at the list. So this bell, this blue bell over here is a section where updates, new features, and other information is provided to users. So this is the notification about the beta polls that I mentioned. There's a video that comes with that explaining how the beta polls are used. And this is a way that I can get information to my customers immediately. I don't have to send them an email, but I can put it in here. Let me go back one sec to my other view. As soon as I find it again. I have lost it. Let me just do this again, and then I can find it. Okay, so this is the view I wanted to share. We're back in business. Okay, so let's just skip ahead a little bit. So we've gone through the admin functions. So one thing to note about the system is that when any user logs in, the system recognizes what they are entitled to see. So what I mean by is that if you're a member of obviously the main foundation board and one other group, then those are the only things you have access to. The super admins, like myself here, I have access to everything. I'm the role that is responsible for setting up the boards, adding users, assigning board admins. But it is a very effective way of keeping documents to just those who are supposed to see them. So I'd like to say just a tiny little bit about pricing, because I know everyone wants to know about what the product costs. So I'm just going to give you the broad brushstrokes. It's not in complete detail. I generally give custom quotes because every board's a little bit different. But generally speaking, my pricing is based on the number of boards and committees. So every foundation organization has at least one board, and that is a base price of $69 a month. An annual subscription gets 2 months free, so that is the best way to go, and that's what most of my customers do. That comes with unlimited data. It's a terabyte of data, so you will never use more than a terabyte of data. And generally speaking, it's unlimited users unless you have more than 50 people on any one board. I don't expect that very many of you will have any board that is more than 50 users. So what it is that I give you a price, and that's the price for a year. There are no surprises 2 months in when you add another person or upload a few more documents. Customer support is always an issue. Can I actually reach a real person, or am I left on my own? So let me assure you that you do reach a real person. Sometimes you even get to see that real person on a video conference call. You might get that real person by email. And there are also lots of resources in the application to help you get answers to your questions. If you can't find an answer, then you can always submit a ticket and you will get a real person, which is mostly me, to respond. So I have a couple of special offers, and here they are. Kelsey has the links, which she is going to put into your chat. So until July 15th, I'm going to offer free onboarding. So this will be help from real people on getting started, first couple of months, and a 10% discount off the regular price. So there's the code and there's a landing page that can be used. So I also realize that many of you will not have very large budgets. And so feel free to reach out to me, and I will definitely come up with a special price for any associations with limited budgets. And I hope none of you ever reach the level of frustration that you want to just throw your documents up in the air. That is what I have built by building my software, is to prevent that from ever happening. I also have a newsletter. Kelsey has that link. I would love you to subscribe to my newsletter. I put lots of good information in it, tips and tricks, future webinars, and I'm always looking for feedback from readers. So please go to this link, subscribe. I get them out on pretty much a monthly basis, sometimes a bit more frequent than that. But I don't share the contact information, so you're not going to be getting spammed by other types of organizations. So at this point, I'm open to questions. And Kelsey, do you think, are there any questions?
You know, we haven't gotten any, even though we've had a bunch of viewers coming and going as we've gone through the presentation. We have not gotten anybody who's left us a question, but I think it's because your presentation's been very thorough. So I feel like you've covered everything, and I loved this demo. I think that this has been so, you know, such a good dive into the software, see what it was really about.
Great. Well, maybe you have a question for me that that you think your members might want to know about.
Well, like we had talked about before, you know, pricing is always one that I get a lot of questions about, and then the customer service. Now, you said that onboarding with this special is free. Typically, what does that look like if they don't take advantage of this special right now, and maybe they're watching this a few months from now?
So that is, and again, it does depend a little bit on the complexity of the organization. If you've got a board and 10 committees, it's going to be a bit more, but for like a smaller board and a couple of committees, or 3 or 4, it's about an extra $300.
Okay, that's not bad at all. It seems really reasonable. Definitely, that was one of my questions. And the best way for people to get in touch with you, Pat? Through these.
You have my email address. People can
Yes,
email me. People can phone me. I'm happy to chat with people. I actually answer my phone most of the time, unless I'm, say, on a webinar, in which case I turn it off. But sure, I will answer my phone. I will answer questions. You can send me that. I have a contact form on my website. You also have that address. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And if you don't get a response right away, it means I'm on a webinar or another demo, perhaps.
I will say that you're very quick to reply every time I've reached out to contact you, even our first contact. You were so fast and right on the spot. So I love that I'm able to have a conversation with the owner of the company right here about, you know, the product. That's really a unique thing we don't get very often.
Yes, and I am very, very proud of what my team and I, not me, but my team has done, because I just think, you know, my mission is to make things better for boards of directors. And that's what I'm trying to do. And this is my life's work now. As you can see, my mission in life is to do that.
That's awesome. Well, we really have enjoyed this. I haven't had any additional questions come in since we've been sitting here talking, so I'll give everybody a few more minutes back in their afternoons. But Pat, thank you so much for sharing your product and taking the time this afternoon to tell us all about it. Really, really appreciate it.
You are very welcome. I also host webinars. So I was on a webinar just a little bit earlier. It was all about how to hold perfect online meetings, a little bit tongue-in-cheek on the perfect side, but you have to tune into the webinar to actually see what I mean about the perfect meetings, online meetings, which is something that I'm sure most of your members are being required to do. Do you have any sense of what your members are doing in terms of online meetings?
We've had a lot of people who have, you know, they have stayed meeting, you know, as much as they can in person or by proxy, but I find a lot of people are turning to things like Zoom, and I think that you're right that things are probably not going to be back to normal anytime soon, and We're going to have various stages of at least hybrid online working as we move forward together. So I think this is really, this type of software is going to be critical as the months advance and we see just how much we really want to start using some of these tools online.
And this is an absolutely great time to try something new. It's just amazing when I hear from my friends who have got their parents and grandparents to use Zoom for the very first time, or FaceTime on their iPhone, in order to keep in touch with their grandkids that they haven't seen for perhaps 3 months now. We're 100 days and counting. So technology, software is something that anyone, any age, any stage of life or business or whatever can get on and use.
It's true. And I love that it's so straightforward, just makes it easy for everyone.
And I'm always here to help when there are problems. And of course, there's always a few questions along the way when you get started. But, I do my very best to make sure that that starting point is the smoothest.
That's great. I really, really love it. And I really thank you so much for being here today. It's been just a treasure. And thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
You are most welcome. And I certainly hope to see you again soon.
You will, for sure. Take care, Pat.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.